Hi folks, thanks for spending time with me. We're looking at the Star Wars suite. This is music selected from the Star Wars movies, music written by John Williams, and music that most of us recognize very easily. We're very familiar with it. And it's great stuff for trumpet players to play, and it has its challenges. So I'm going to be working on this with the NAC trumpet class this week. It's getting near the end of the semester as I'm recording this, and everybody's a little bit tired. They've gone through the brass bash, and they're taking auditions and getting ready for their final promotional exams, their playing exams. So they're not going to like working on this, but I don't like working on it today. But here you go. You got to do what you have to do when duty calls. So you'll recognize the music. I'll just go ahead and play it and see what we can find here. As I heard Mr. Rolfs, my colleague in the BSO, say one time, wow, my blower's getting tired. And when your blower gets tired, you're supporting that airflow and you can't quite lift it the way you want to, then all the weight tends to fall on your chops. Now, I'm feeling that a little bit now. But I'm going to go ahead and persevere in the hope that maybe you can gain something from my experience here. So things to watch for. This is unison. So it'd be great if you get a buddy and practice this together. Play it in unison. So you have that passage I just played. See how well you can do with the intonation. See how well you can do with matching the articulation, because that's what's going to make it sound good in this section. That was not particularly enjoyable for me, but I'm going to persevere and see what else we can find. So there's a spot right after that. Let's see. More lyrical spot. I didn't really like that last section, so I'm going to do it again. Now it says molto marcato. And it says bring out, it says molto marcato, it's double forte. So I ended up trying too hard. This is what's happening to me. So I'm trying to press the air through the trumpet instead of hom, hom. Can I find that voice? Now it's getting a little bit closer. And this is exactly the kind of thing that I'm working on all the time. Can I get the musical quality? I'm not just playing the notes. I'm not just staying in control. I'm not just trying to play with a good sound. I'm not just trying to play in tune. I'm mainly aiming at a musical intention, a musical imagination. Now, the next lick, the trumpets are accompanying. It's interesting because it says double forte, but you're not really the main point of interest. I think John wants that energy, he wants the sound of the trumpet, and this is a little challenging, so I'm going to play through it, and I think you'll get the idea. This is the type of thing that I would turn into an exercise. So let's see if I can play it up to tempo and play it correctly, and then we'll take it from there. So you can see I need a little practice on that. It feels a little bit squirrely. It makes a great exercise. Now, I notice I'm tight, and so the notes kind of feel slippery. So this means I need some slow practice. Now, many of you, if you're playing a C trumpet, are going to be playing that E with first and second. I think I played it open the first time through, and I switched over and said, oh yeah, it feels easier with first and second. So when you make these adjustments, you do whatever is easier and that sounds appropriate. And whatever makes your job easier is useful. It's something that you want to do. But then you have your E flat. Are you going to be doing complicated fingerings? Now that's an awkward fingering for me. You can do it, I'm doing it, but it feels kind of rough, it doesn't feel smooth. So sometimes I'll just play it with the regular fingerings and listen and try and flow those notes into the right place. So now I found out where the rough spot is. It's the E flat to D trill. Now some of you may be primarily B flat trumpet players. You notice I'm playing on a C. We almost always played on C in pops. I mean, there are the occasional times when you can't get low enough on a C trumpet, you have to switch to the B flat. But it's kind of the standard orchestral instrument. And for this kind of music, it's actually pretty helpful because it makes it, your blower doesn't get quite as tired as when you're playing a B flat. But in this case, it would probably be easier on B flat to play this. And some players, trying to find out the simplest way to play, might actually switch to B flat to play this. You got 8 bars rest, you can pick up the other horn, provided it's not too cold, and it might be easier. This is the kind of thing I'm going to encourage you to experiment with. If you actually have to perform this or prepare something like this for an audition, find out what's the easiest way. Now, you don't want to be confusing yourself by switching from one horn to another, switching mouthpieces, switching mutes. All that change is very upsetting and distracting, mainly. So you want to stay with it. In this case, I'm going to try and keep it simple by playing it on the same horn that I'm going to use for the whole piece and see if I can solve the problem. So I had that D, E flat to D trill. Now it's getting a lot smoother. That's exactly the kind of work I would do if I were preparing this piece for performance, because you want to be able to nail it and have it sound good. So that stuff goes by quickly. If there are little flubs in there in the middle of an orchestra, most people won't hear it. But I'm going to offer you some advice that I got from Tim Morrison, with whom I played a lot of this music. He said, I try and play as if the whole orchestra suddenly disappeared and I was the only one left playing, that I would be proud of the way it sounded. So even when you're playing in the orchestra and you can't really hear yourself, you always want to have that kind of focused intensity. This is what it's supposed to sound like. And that's going to help you a lot when you're playing this kind of music, or any kind of music for that matter. Okay. Okay, there's one lick in here that gave us all problems. And this is another one that I should make note, say, okay, this is the kind of thing I might want to do as a challenging exercise and include it in part of my routine. And I might do it in different keys, but in this case, again, this might be easier on B flat trumpet. I don't have my B flat handy right now, but it might be easier on B flat trumpet. So why not play it on B flat? Well, you don't want to have to switch, right? At least I don't want to have to switch. I even remember playing some of the lower parts in Mahler symphonies where you have to go down to the low F on the C trumpet, the low G on the B flat trumpet. And I would, the way I played it, and my companion, who was also playing the part with me, another professional trumpet player who came from out of town to substitute with the orchestra, we were both playing it on C trumpet. And we could make it sound musically good in the orchestra, so that if the whole orchestra disappeared and we were the only ones left playing, it wouldn't sound like wah, like this bad unmusical sound. It's always about the quality of what you're producing. So I'm going to go to the lick, and this is right before the end of the main theme in this suite. And then we'll look at Raiders March maybe next time, right? So that's the lick. And so it goes something like this. Okay, so that was a little tight and a little sloppy. So I'm going to do the same thing I did on the last lick and see if I can find that smooth liquid path that goes through without that feeling of gripping and holding on. I might even play it on the mouthpiece. I don't know if I can do that. Okay, so that would be something that I could use to practice. Now, not everybody can buzz that high on the mouthpiece comfortably. If you're straining, don't do it. Find an easier way. You might play it in the lower octave. Of course, your fingerings are going to be different then, but in other words, think creatively and see how you can practice these things. The first thing that we should do is slow practice, and that's the way I started. So I'm going to make up something here. That's, ooh. Sorry folks, I lost my main light. My battery ran out. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I should really keep these videos a lot simpler, but I like to do things that look decent. So I do my studio stuff. Here we go. This is before 179 in the music. It's that passage we were just working on. Ta, 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 ta. So I just learned something. That was very interesting. When I triple-tongued the whole thing, it was way easier than when I went back and forth between sustaining the note, ta, 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 and then just doing one quick triple tongue. So I have to investigate this. So that needs some practice, but I'm learning something here. And this is, when we're in the concert season, you don't have a lot of time to work out, go to the woodshed and work out these details. You already have to be able to do it. So that means doing this kind of work before you run into the problems means you have a much better chance of solving them very quickly, a much better chance of solving them at all before the performance. And that's what professional players do. So I hope some of this is helpful to you. And I just want to play the end of this because I like it. So that in itself could be a great exercise. Why? Sustaining the pitch, the feeling of gliding or flying on the air instead of that pressurized sensation of playing. So there's your long tones, and now you're not just letting your mind wander as you blow a tone with no change. There's musical intention to it. So that's why I like going back to music like this and finding something that's going to be useful to stimulate to challenge me and to stimulate my progress on the instrument. I hope some of this stuff works for you too. Have a great day, and hopefully I'll see you later on. Bye-bye.